Whew, well, geez, I was just trying to take my monthly shower and I can't even get that done without major news breaking. Well, it would appear Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, is out. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, and I think there's three possible theories here to go over. But I do want to start out saying one thing first. Bob Iger was at the helm during some truly amazing times for Disney. And I want to thank Bob Iger for the work he put in for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, help bringing so many of my childhood heroes to the big screen and making them common household names. I want to thank you for everything you've done outside of Star Wars for families across this country. And hopefully my viewers will agree. 1 like equals 1 thank you for what you've done, Bob. So hopefully there'll be a bunch of those for you too. I'm sure you'll watch this video. Now, news broke just minutes ago that Bob Iger is out effective immediately as CEO of Disney. Now, there's three main theories here. There are three main possibilities, and I'm going to list them off in order of most likely to least likely. So the most likely thing here is that Bob had been planning this for a very long time, and that this was just a closely held under the vest thing, and that's just the way it goes. I mean, Bob Iger isn't going to live forever. At some point, the dude probably wants to retire. I mean, he was born in Disney was founded in 1923. Bob Iger, of course, been there as long as I can basically remember. So maybe he's just gone. He's just done. You know, I mean, I think that's entirely possible. If I look up his age, he's currently almost 70 years old, and he's worth many millions. A net worth of close to $700 million. More money than he'll ever be able to spend. And maybe he just wants to enjoy the final years of his life and not literally work until the day he dies.
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
So certainly very possible. A second theory is Bob Iger saw the ship was sinking. And I'm going to show you some evidence of that. I mean, we know now basically the major MCU phases are over. I don't think phase 4, phase 5, phase 6, whatever other phase you want to go down the line with Disney, I don't believe it will ever be as big as phase 3. Disney enjoyed a long period of just being able to print money. And with the end of Avengers Endgame, I just don't see them rebuilding that ever again, especially when I'm seeing movies like The Eternals getting put out. And I don't have a lot of faith in Doctor Strange being able to hold up. Then we can look at late in November. Bob Iger did have to admit that Galaxy's Edge was a failure, or early on a failure, and overall attendance had been down. So in the last 3 or 4 months, Bob Iger sees attendance tanking at the park. He sees Galaxy's Edge didn't go very well. They see that they basically bungled the Star Wars franchise. Who would have thought that anybody could not make money with a Star Wars movie, but Disney found a way with Solo, a Star Wars story. So Bob Iger talks about, the attendance is down. The movies are down. He's looking down the road. He's like, who do we got? Who do we have left? Maybe I'm going to jump ship. It's entirely possible that he just sprung this on him and was like, I'm out. Now, here's another thing that leads me to believe that people didn't know that this was happening, because look what happened to the stock today. After he announced it, it plummeted. If I go to the 1 day, look at this. It's still dropping, and the market's not yet closed, or it's very close. I mean, if we go to 6 months, you can see Disney had enjoyed a long period of growth in November, December, January, February, and then bam, it completely craters to an all-time 6-month, looks like a 6-month low. If I go 1 year, not quite a 1 year low, but a 6-month low. If people inside of Wall Street, by the way, one thing lending itself to maybe people didn't know about this is Wall Street's reaction to it, because normally Wall Street knows. And when some big figurehead steps down, it seems like they've all been tipped off and things don't happen as drastically, but that's not what we're seeing with Disney stock. Also, the language of it being effective immediately is strange too. Now, I will admit, of course, that when you're the CEO of Disney, you're basically you're not following any rules in terms of leaving your job or finding a new job. Even any large company, when you're the CEO and you quit, it's a huge process. A lot of times CEOs quit years in advance. There's a whole succession plan that may happen, may or may not have happened behind the scenes, right? Maybe he really quit 3 years ago and it's just effective immediately. But I'm surprised they wouldn't have announced that, because when we're looking at the announcements and some of the things that Bob Iger has done, at no point did they say, hey, this has been, planned for a long time. Bob Iger will step down as CEO and assume the role of executive chairman, Disney announced Tuesday. Bob Chapek, who recently served as chairman of the Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products, will assume the role of CEO effective immediately, Disney announced. Shares of Disney fell 2.5% after hours. Iger will remain the executive chairman of Disney through the end of 2021. According to the company, he has been instrumental in making Disney a media powerhouse with key acquisitions and content plays. He launched Disney Plus, immediately making Disney a popular streaming service provider. Disney had said the service had 26.5 million paying subscribers during the first quarter of 2020. Iger has beefed up Disney's already strong content library with several important acquisitions. Most recently, he ushered in Disney's $71 billion acquisition of Fox Entertainment, which would add even more content to its streaming library. Earlier, he added more Star Wars and Marvel movies, through its acquisition of Lucasfilm and Marvel Entertainment, each for about $4 billion. Shortly into his tenure as CEO, Iger announced Disney's $7.4 billion acquisition of Pixar Animation Studios, which made popular films like Toy Story and Finding Nemo, before becoming a part of Disney. Iger also launched a theme park in Shanghai, furthering Disney's footprint across the globe, gaining 11 million visitors in the first year. With Disney's successful launch of Disney's direct-to-consumer business and the integration of 21st Century Fox well underway, I believe this is the optimal time to transition to a new CEO, Iger said in a statement. Now, they say Iger had been planning a succession for a while, saying at Disney's Investors Day last year that 2021 will be the time for me to finally step down. Iger has been the CEO since 2005. He's pushed back his retirement several times in recent years, and Tuesday's succession announcement came as a surprise. See, that's the thing. Why was it a surprise? If everybody seemed to know that this was going to happen, why did the market crash? Why did people react so surprisingly, especially if he had announced it a year ago? Now, of course, he's not going to work there until he's 100 years old. So, of course, he was going to quit at some point. But what does this mean going forward? Well, the market's reaction to his replacement should tell you a lot, seeing as though it went down significantly. There doesn't seem to be a ton of confidence in who's taking over. There seems to be more questions than answers. Take that into account with dwindling theme park numbers, a struggling Galaxy's Edge, and a struggling franchise in Star Wars that you just paid $4 billion for. There's a lot to be questioned in the long-term future of Disney. We can even look at the most recent release of Call of the Wild. Looks like that's completely tanking at the box office too. So Disney has been really sporadic. They've had bizarre hits like Lion King, but then they've had movies like Solo and Call of the Wild, which are going to lose money, and you don't really know what's going to happen with the theme park. Sure, they made total profits increased, which I guess at the end of the day is important, but total attendance decreased, which meant that you were just extracting more money from the fewer people that were there. You could see CNN covering it saying, Bob Iger has stepped down as CEO, Wall Street effective immediately. Bob Chapek is the new CEO. The board of directors announced Tuesday he most recently served as chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products. Iger had assumed the role of executive chairman, which we know. Quote, I'm incredibly honored and humbled to assume the role of CEO of what I truly believe is the greatest company in the world. Chapek said, sorry, not Chapek, probably Chapek said in a statement. Bob Iger has built Disney into the most admired and successful media and entertainment company, and I have been lucky to enjoy a front row seat as a member of his leadership team. Iger succeeded CEO Michael Eisner back in 2005. During his tenure, Iger oversaw the acquisition of Marvel Studios, Pixar, and Lucasfilm, all of which produced films that shattered box office records. Under his leadership, 21st Century Fox came into Disney's fold, resulting in a new roster of IPs for nearly the 100-year-old company. Now, I don't know about, I mean, these certainly do seem like puff pieces. But at the end of the day, Bob Iger did a ton of good. I will always remember when he came to the defense of Captain Marvel. You know, the Kree may have supreme intelligence, the Walt Disney has Bob Iger. He's the CEO and chairman of the Mouse House, constantly expanding entertainment empire. His approval means a lot. And just like supreme intelligence, you don't want to let him down. Fortunately, Carol Danvers did not disappoint, and Bob Iger took to social media to see how proud he and Disney were of Captain Marvel. Quote, "The audience speaks. Captain Marvel is a film we are very proud of. Congratulations, Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson and the Marvel Studios team. Now on to the Avengers." I thought it was interesting because not a lot of CEOs have to go out there and announce their support for things, but it'll be interesting to see. Now, what does it all mean? Is there a bigger theory behind the scenes? Maybe. Does it mean Kathleen Kennedy is next? I mean, if we're going to look at things that are trending downwards, certainly of everything that Disney has out there, Star Wars is the one that's probably the most questionable. Yeah, you have a built-in audience, but where are you going to go from here? I think largely as investors saw it, as the CEO probably saw it, the Star Wars trilogy was a disaster. They do have bright spots like The Mandalorian, but who do you blame for that? Well, the blame's got to come down on Kathleen Kennedy's head. Will the new owner, the new CEO of Disney, be as patient with Kathleen Kennedy? Or maybe they don't care. Maybe Feige's just running it all, and that's for him to decide. It's going to be interesting to see if any major changes happen at Disney over the next 3-4 months. But I'll be interested to hear what your comments, theories, and thoughts are in the comment section down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.